Are you wondering whether or not you need a Christian life coach or a Christian counselor? Maybe you feel stuck and you're not sure which one is going to actually help you. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the difference between the two of them. If we've not met before, my name is Lauren and I am a spiritual growth coach for Christian women, helping you get one step closer to Jesus. And if you are looking to grow deeper in your faith and also experience emotional healing, you are in the right place. So let's talk about the difference between Christian counseling and Christian life coaching so that you can know exactly what kind of support you actually need. A lot of people say that everyone needs counseling, everyone should be in counseling, and I used to think the same way, but now I've learned there's so many different types of help out there, and not everyone is walking through emotional healing, emotional trauma, or just things of that nature. And there are a lot of women who are emotionally stable. They just need support and accountability and guidance that a coach could offer. Understanding the difference between coaching and counseling can help you, of course, save time and money, but also figure out what kind of support you actually need for the season that you're currently in. So we are going to be going over the 4 key differences between coaches and counselors. And the first key difference is motivation. So those who go to counseling are motivated by pain, trauma, or emotional distress, whereas those who go to coaching are motivated by growth, goals, and desiring to fulfill their God-given potential. So an example might be someone who is walking through anxiety. They may go to a counselor, especially if it's impacting their everyday life. They feel like they can't drive, they're so anxious, they feel like they can't leave their home, or something of that nature. Whereas someone who is emotionally stable, of course we all have our emotions, ups and downs, but generally they're good on that front, but they just really struggle with being consistent in the habits that they want to create. They may seek a Christian life coach who's going to help them push forward in those goals. Now, the second key difference between coaching and counseling is the time frame. So a counselor is going to be much more past oriented. They're going to look at your childhood. They're going to look at what happened, where have you been, what is the past issue that's bringing up these symptoms that you're currently having in your present. Whereas a coach is going to be future oriented. A coach is going to have a plan in order for you to take action, to be forward thinking so that you can reach your goals and fulfill your potential. And so counseling looks at where have you been, whereas coaching asks where is God leading you next, which I think is a beautiful thing. Now, number 3 is focus. So counseling is much more problems focused, right? So looking at solving problems within treating emotional and mental disorders, whereas coaching is going to look at possibilities, looking at the client's strengths, and it's going to be much more about forward movement toward your goals. So again, a counselor may help with trauma, anxiety, depression, all of those things, whereas a coach may help you build a consistent morning routine that is Christ-centered, right? So that is the third difference, and the fourth difference is the credentials. So within the counseling industry, you have to be licensed legally to be a mental health therapist or something within that vein and nature. You have to be licensed. And so what they go through is they gotta have their bachelor's, their master's, and then they gotta do a ton of clinical hours. Maybe not clinical is not the right word, but just hours and training with supervision. Maybe that's the word, supervision. And they have to go through a long process. Whereas coaching is a little more of a newer industry. And so there are certifications out there, and there are a lot of coaches who are certified, but there are also a lot of coaches that aren't certified. And so they aren't technically trained. Maybe they have some sort of training, but it's not as technical. So the coaching industry is much less regulated in that sense. But there's also just so many different types of coaches out there that who knows, maybe in the coming years there might become more regulation, especially with certain types of coaches. Maybe like life coaching might have a specific set of qualifications in the future, but for now, that's the difference. Their credentials are definitely different in that sense. Now, some bonus questions for you to ask yourself in order to figure out which one do you need in this season. So number one, you might ask yourself, am I dealing with wounds from the past that I've never truly healed from? Okay, that's a great place to start. Or am I in a place where I'm ready to take action, but I just need some guidance, right? So do I need healing, or do I need clarity and accountability? And of course, you want to ask yourself, where is God nudging me to grow right now? Is it something with your mental health, with your past healing, right? God is with us in the healing process, or is it growth focused? So that is some great questions for you to ask yourself. Now, some common, frequently asked questions that I wanted to address. Number one, can a Christian life coach help with emotional wounds or trauma? So this is a tricky one. Coaches are not trained to diagnose or treat trauma. There are trauma-informed coaches. There are mental health coaches, but typically they're going to deal with much less severe cases, and they're gonna push you and refer you out if it is a more severe case. What's the biblical basis for Christian life coaching? So I would say it kind of goes the same with counseling. Like, people really question counseling. Is it biblical? Coaching, is it biblical? The Bible, of course, talks about building one another up in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Encourage one another and build each other up. In Galatians 6:2, carry each other's burdens. And of course, the Bible speaks to mentorship and discipleship and all of those things. So I would say the Bible is not explicit in saying, no coaching, no counseling. I think that both coaching and counseling serve their purpose within the Christian community. They are simply different methods of mentorship in a way. Now, mentorship is still different from those two, right? Mentorship is a lot more advice giving, whereas in counseling and coaching, there's a lot less of that advice giving and a little bit more of guiding you in the decisions that you are making with the Lord. So there's that there. Number three, I guess, of our frequently asked questions, can I work with both a counselor and a coach? You definitely can, although I would say I probably wouldn't. If you are needing to heal from emotional trauma, then focus on that healing. Allow God to be in that process and focus on that before you step into the coaching aspect. But you absolutely could. I think for me, I'd feel overwhelmed to have both, because usually there's some sort of homework involved, homework with that sort of work, but you can. I probably wouldn't. That's my answer. Another one, which is more faith-centered, coaching or counseling? I think this really depends on the coach and the counselor themselves and how much they integrate it into their method and their process. And so, that's a great reason to, when you are going to start coaching or counseling with them, to kind of vet them in a way, like ask questions, get to know them a little bit, maybe try just, if they have just a one-time session before buying a package of sessions or something like that. That'd be a great way to kind of get to know them and how much, Christianity and Jesus and the Holy Spirit will be involved in the process. So that would be my answer. Next one, how do I know if I'm ready for coaching instead of therapy? So this would be, I would say, ask yourself, am I emotionally stable? And this would be, do your emotions impact your function in daily life? If they're not hindering you in any way, if you're functioning regularly in your emotions, then that would be a good sign you're ready for coaching. If you're seeking growth and not healing, so if there's nothing serious that you feel you need to heal from, if you can't recognize a point of healing that you need, and maybe you're really desiring to grow in a certain area, I would recommend coaching. Or do you need strategy and support versus treatment and diagnosis? So those would be some questions to ask yourself to know if you're ready for coaching instead of therapy. And those are our frequently asked questions. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, comment any questions that you might have, let me know. And if you are interested in spiritual growth coaching, you can book a discovery call with me. It's a 20-minute call and we'll just get to chat and I can explain all about what I do and how I support Christian women. And if you have any questions, you can also email me and we can figure it out and get that set up. So there you go. You can find the link in the description box below. And if you feel like hanging around, you can watch this video next because YouTube's algorithm thinks you'll like it. And I will see you in the next one. God bless. Bye.